introduce our next guest, everybody, the construction king of Dallas, Eric Crutchfield. One of my friends introduced me to him, and I heard his story, and I really wanted to have him on. Super inspirational. It tells the listener that you can do anything, regardless of age, background, money. It's pretty remarkable that, I'll let him tell the story, but basically in prison for a lot of his life, and then gets out, no money, no background, felon, and then is able to turn it around, and now the construction king of Dallas.
Yep, that's basically it.
So most people would give up after they got out and just like no money, maybe go back to doing what they were doing before. How did you get out and have the mindset to go and start investing in properties? And
Yeah, the recidivism rate in Texas, I think, is 83%. So over 8 out of 10 people that get out of prison end up going back. So yeah, I think it starts with mindset, man. You just got to go all in and believe in yourself, and no turning back, no plan Bs.
do you mind sharing what actually the decisions you made that landed you in prison? I think it'd be helpful to everybody I'm sure a lot of people are in the same boat, or they're already making bad decisions. And
Yeah.
I think the story will probably help them.
So my name's Eric Crutchfield. I was pretty wild growing up, from 18 to 27, selling drugs in the clubs, drinking, partying, fighting, doing all the stupid bad behavior type of stuff, Met some bad friends, and we just acted wild for basically 18 to 27 years old. I was drinking and driving when I was 27 years old, got into a wreck. Somebody died. I got charged with 10 years manslaughter. Got sentenced 10 years, Texas Department of Corrections, so prison in Texas. I served over 7 years, got out. So, yeah, I mean, I wasn't too much into drugs during that time, but I was selling a bunch of drugs, and just drinking a lot, and just no goals, no purpose, no...
Lost.
Yeah, lost, exactly.
Yeah.
I was just lost.
And that's actually a lot of people. I kind of went through the same thing when I was like 18 to 20 years when my dad passed away. I just made a bunch of bad decisions, and could have been better for sure. So I completely understand. And for some reason, when you're 18, you think you're like bulletproof, and it's like nothing's ever going to happen to you. Walk me through a day in prison. I mean, what was it like? So they drop you off, you get to prison, and you're just like, what do? You think you're serving 10, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I was eligible for parole at, 2 years in. But I got 6 set-offs. So each time you get a set-off, it's another year before you're eligible again. So.
And what's a set-off?
The set-off is like you come up for eligible for parole, and they say, no, you're set off, and you have another year to come up. So you're basically set off for another year. So it's a denial of parole. But yeah, I was in county for about a year, and then they shackle you up, put you on a bus, and head you off to prison. I remember that first time I got to prison, got off the bus, all shackled up, walking in, fucking, everybody's clicked up. We got the whites, blacks, Mexicans, everybody's tatted up, faces covered. You're like, fuck, here we go,
The mindset to survive, like you're like at that point, you're not even thinking about anything.
Yeah, it's pretty wild in there, but you have no choice. You're in there, so you're stuck. You just got to make the best of it.
And so, as you're sitting there and you're thinking, you're like, when you're thinking about what you're going to do with your life when you get out, I'm sure you're just sitting there thinking about it every day.
Yeah.
When you first started thinking about when you get out, what was the plan? Like, what was your initial plan when you first went to prison? It's like, okay, I'm gonna make it through this, and then when I get out.
I was in the streets for so long, from 18 to 27. That's all I knew was illegal ways to make money and criminal behavior. So even while I was in there, I was still clicking up with people that, wanted to get out and do criminal stuff. So yeah, I had full-fledged business plans about what I was going to do when I got out. And it wasn't good things, stealing motorcycles and selling this and selling that, make millions of dollars, I thought. And this was all the way up for like 2 years while I was in there. I was still thinking like that. And then I was at a unit called Mineral Wells, and they put us on lockdown. Mineral Wells is a pretty bad facility in Texas. A lot of deaths, a lot of gang fights. probably one of the worst and craziest units I was ever on. But they put us on lockdown. They let us go to the library beforehand. So we go to the library. I've never read a book in my life up to this point. Like, I don't like reading. I didn't like school. I tried to go to college. First semester, I made 3 Fs and a D. I was like, fuck this. This isn't for me. So dropped out of that, and then just did whatever I did to make money. I've always been a hustler, you know. So anyway, we got put on lockdown, went to the library. I don't know what book I'm going to get, but I'm like, fuck, we can't get up for a while. So I forgot what we got put on lockdown for, but I was looking around the library. I was like, okay, here's a personal development section. I probably need that. Let me check that out. And then I saw this book called Awaken the Giant. It was by Tony Robbins. I picked it up, looked at it. I was like, all right, let's go. So I just picked that one. I didn't know, you know. So I read that book while on lockdown. I read it from front to back. It had a bunch of exercises in it. You know, I don't have shit to do in there. Like, we're getting sacked lunches. We're just sitting there on the bunk. So I'm doing every exercise it tells me to do. Like, who are the 3 richest people you know? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Write your goals, 5, 10, 20, you know, all kinds of shit. And I'm doing them all, right?
Are you writing stealing motorcycles?
So that book, there was something in that book that just clicked in my brain and enlightened me. And it basically awakened the giant. You know, I talk about it in another podcast, but it just awoke me, man. It opened my mind to what the world has to offer, but it starts in your mind, you know? And I started seeing things different from that point forward. I mean, I could feel it. It was real. And from that point forward, man, I was just on self-development and business. And for the next 5 years before I got back out, that's all I did was consume self-development books and real estate books.
So when you go to the library in prison, is there a big selection on real estate, or
no,
I mean, how do you?
The system is built to keep us down. They don't want us to succeed. They don't want us to have knowledge. Yeah, it's just a bunch of bullshit books, and they're fiction books basically. They have some self-development books because when the inmates get sent books in, you know, and they don't want to take them home, they usually go into there.
I got you. Okay.
Most of the inmates with the 83 recidivism rate, you know, going back to prison, obviously it tells you right there that most mindsets are pretty fucked up.
Yeah.
So all the books getting sent in are pretty fucked up.
When you called out, and who sent you the books in, and was it you're like, hey, send me real estate books, send me business books?
So after Awaken the Giant, any birthday, Christmas, holiday, anything, I would write letters to my friends and family and say, hey, they'd be like, what do you want? I'd be like, I want, you know, business books, real estate books. And once you start reading the books, once they started coming in, like, they would acknowledge other books, and I would write them down on notepads. I had tons of notepads in there. So I had lists of books. So I would just get lists. Any other book, like, oh, you know, reference this book. And then I would fucking write a letter. I want this book. And they would, you know, so I had a shitload of references for books, and I would just get them sent in over the next 5 years. And then I had a subscription to Forbes, Inc. magazine, Fast Company, all the business magazines. So
yep.
That had a lot of references in them as well. And that's basically all I did for the next 5 years, is just stick to myself, try to stay out the way, and study shit.
And so you get out in 7, and then so the first day you're out, how do you get a loan? How do you, if you're going to invest in real estate, if that's your plan, how do you even go and find out where to start, or like what you're going to do? Did you flip a house? Did you?
Yeah, it was a crazy transition period. You know, I was gone for so long. I say I wasn't institutionalized, but you know, I haven't made a choice of like opening a door for myself in a long time. I haven't picked out what I wanted to eat in a long time. I haven't flipped on a light switch in a long time. I mean, I haven't done a lot of shit in 7+ years, right? So there's definitely an acclimation period of me getting back out. And so I paroled to my mom's house, and yeah, those first 3 months, it was crazy because I remember when I got out on the drive back from prison, my mom picked me up and she was taking me to her house, and we stopped at Buc-ee's. I walked in, I was like, holy fuck, like, how am I supposed to select any of this shit? Like, I haven't selected anything in 7+ years. Like, I'm looking at drinks and there's fucking tons of them. Like, what the fuck? I don't even know what I want.
People that don't know about Buc-ee's, is the biggest gas station in the world. I mean, you would have never thought that somebody could make billions of dollars out of a gas station,
Yeah,
but
it's a fucking
insane.
grocery store,
Yeah.
gas station. It's crazy. So anyway, I remember getting an energy drink. It was a Rockstar because I like to drink those before I went away. So I got a Rockstar and I got some beef jerky because I hadn't had beef jerky in fucking forever. Yeah, it was awesome. I remember that.
How long of a time period before, so you get out, I'm sure on parole, you have to get a job. Like, so you can't even work for yourself, right? You have to go and work for somebody else.
Got to have a job on parole. It's a stipulation. So one of my really good friends gave me a job in the logistics industry. So I did logistics basically for the first year until my real estate career started kicking off profits.
So when you started your job, how long before when you got out of prison from the time you purchased your first property though, what was that time period?
That was probably 4 or 5 months out of prison. I got my first property. It was a flip.
How'd you get the money? Because that's where, when people don't know where to start, that's everyone's first problem. Even if they're young, if they're 20 years old, they don't have any money, or they may be late in their career, they haven't saved anything. And so how did you go and get the first flip?
So the plan was to always borrow the money from somebody, right? Because I didn't have any money. I had the $200 they gave me when I exited. So I knew I wanted to get in real estate when I got out. I had been studying real estate, basically commercial and multifamily, but I read a bunch of flipping books, and so there was some residential stuff in there. So I had a lot of book knowledge, but I didn't actually have the practical knowledge of when I, get out, like how much does this shit cost? I don't even know how much to negotiate with the tile guys or the flooring guys or the sheetrock guys, or, I don't know the prices of anything. So I was kind of lost there. So I wanted to flip a house so I could kind of build my crew and understand those costs. So I talked to a lot of people, I was out there putting my fillers out and kind of filling out everybody. And one of my really good friends had flipped some homes while I was gone. And he was the most receptive to me. So I said, hey man, help me, I'm looking for a house to flip. I want to do something. I want to get into this. So he found one for me. It was about $220,000. Luckily I called my sister and she said she would loan me the money for that. I think I paid like $220 plus $40,000 for the remodel.
Okay.
So I told her, let me borrow that money.
Did you split the profit with her, or did you pay interest on it?
I think I paid her back 10% on her money.
Okay.
So she gave me $220,
which is a good deal.
$22,000.
Especially then when interest rates are low.
It took me, a few months to do it, but so that was the first flip that I did, and my buddy.
How much net profit off the first deal that you netted after paying your sister?
$53,000,
which is really good for your first deal.
And I'm fresh out of prison, 6-7 months.
But on your first property, if anyone doesn't know, I mean, there's just so much that can happen. You might buy the wrong house, you might buy it, and then you open up the walls, and there's just so much more you have to do to make the house sellable, right? And so it is like, I mean, to do that for your first time's pretty incredible too. Any profit your first deal is probably a pretty good deal, because you get to learn. You get to learn a ton. Yeah, you get to learn a ton.
I teach everybody and tell everybody the first few flips, or new construction builds, it's all about learning. Don't get caught up too much on the profits. There's a time to scale and there's a time to learn. Learning is the first few projects. Of course, we don't want to lose money. But the most important thing is to learn first and then to scale second.
Yep.
So that's why.
That's what I did. I did everything myself on my first house. I was 19 years old. Did most of it myself, and then I'd get off work. I'd go lay the tile. I'd go paint, and the stuff I didn't know how to do, I'd hire the trade, and then I'd just kind of like help them the whole time so I could understand what's going on. Yeah. And that was my experience in the first one. So it's really hard to make profit on the first one. So that you did 52,000 is like really amazing, and you get to learn. So you get the learning experience. Made money along the way, and it gave you the confidence to like go.
And I was like, holy shit, $50,000
on one. You're like, what if I could do 10? What if I could do 10 houses?
My mind is like, damn, this is the biggest chunk of cash that I've made in a very long time, legally for sure, probably ever in my life, legally.
And that's somebody's salary. Most people's salary $52,000 for 1 year, and you made it in 3 months.
We're gonna make this $50,000 on one deal. Let's fucking do 1,000 of these.
Yes.
So that was where I was at. So then I bought another flip to do right after that one. Well, come to find out, they just started building the street. They had the form board set, which is what you put down before you pour your foundation. And so I finally ran into the builder of those lots next to me on that second flip that I bought. And I asked him, hey, what are you building here? And he showed me a rendering of it. And I don't know the terminology. I mean, now I know all the terminology. Back then, I didn't know. Like, I said, show me a picture of what you're building, And he shows me a rendering. Well, this is a fucking 4-story townhome duplex that's really modern, looks super dope. I was like, oh, holy fuck, I want to build that. You know, like, I don't want to flip this fucking house. I want to build this cool ass modern dope townhome. So I got this crack house that I paid $210,000 for. I borrowed the money from my sister again. I paid her back. I borrowed it again.
I'm sure she was like, oh yeah, let's do another one.
Yeah. So paid $210 cash, owned the land outright. And then I was going to put $75,000 into this one because it needed a lot of work. You know, I was thinking about adding another level, but it was a fucked up house. It needed a lot of work. I don't even think it was $75,000. I could have added another level, but those were the numbers I was kind of running back then. So once I talked to that builder and looked at that picture, I was like, man, there's no way in hell I can flip this house. Like, I mean, it's like buying a Honda Accord and putting a badass paint job, but you're parking it next to like a Ferrari, you know, and trying to sell it. It's not going to work.
The numbers didn't work on the house. Yeah.
So I was forced into new construction, or I was going to have to sell that house.
So you did a tear down.
So my second flip forced me into new construction. So yeah, I didn't know anything about building, didn't know anything about new construction, you know, foundation, any of that shit.
If you've done a lot of flips and then you go to new construction, you appreciate it. It's actually easier because the walls are straight. It's longer. The time frame is longer. The cycle is longer because you're buying the land, you're demoing it, you're getting architect plans, you have to get permits at the city.
And that's why I try to teach my students, like especially a lot of flippers and wholesalers, you know, come to me and I'm like, man, the faster you can get out from that to new construction, you're gonna love yourself, you know.
I do think though it's good because it gives you the foundation to go and if you just start new construction, you don't know anything about it, you don't know the cost, but it gives you an appreciation for it after you flipped a bunch of houses and you're like, oh man, this is easy. Like I just have to do the math.
Systematize it. You know, there's checklists now on new construction. It's just,
and it's easier you can at least buy raw land. You can find deals.
Right. Yeah.
Part of flipping is finding the deal.
Exactly.
So you can't even get enough deals to do 200 houses a year because it's so hard to get.
It's hard to scale.
Get the deal and make money. Yeah, and then they're all over town everywhere, and then you're like driving all over the place.
One's finding the deal, and then you got to do the construction. You have no fucking clue what that's going to entail once you rip that place up.
That's the problem.
You're going to end up running all new plumbing underneath. That's going to cost you extra $15,000.
Yep. Or you get to the very end. You end up selling the house, and then the seller's like, or the buyer goes, "Oh, we need a new roof," and the FHA goes, "Oh, you have to put a new roof, or we're not going to finance it." And you're like, "That's all my profit."
Yeah, I've had it happen.
Yeah, I've been there a lot. So you go from flips, then you start new construction. And did you have a partner on the first one, or you did the first one by yourself?
So I own the land outright, $210,000. I have no fucking clue how to build. I'm like, fuck, am I going to sell this? What am I going to do? So I interviewed a bunch of builders. You know, I even interviewed the guy next to me, and I almost went with the guy next to me. He was going to charge me like 10 or 12%,
which is actually
over
fair.
Cost,
That's fair,
was
super
the best.
fair, yeah.
And he was pretty receptive to me. You know, I was asking questions, and I was like, "Look, this is what I want to do, but I want to learn. I want to be there every step of the way. I want to know all the expenses. Like, this is the career that I want to go into." Most of the other builders were just like, "I'll build it for you for $220 a foot or $80,000 flat fee or $120,000 flat fee," and so I just wiped those guys away, but. This guy was actually like, "Yeah, I'll teach you," but there was still a little bit of shadiness I could sense from this guy. So I was like, I don't know. So anyway, I called my buddy that held my hand through that first flip. I said, "Hey, I own the land. Let's fucking do this. I'll split the profits with you 50-50 if you can help me build this." He came over, checked it out. And he was already with me like when I bought it. So he was helping me with the construction budget on it with the $75,000. So I told him, "Man, we can't do this. We talked and we figured out like this isn't gonna work. I'm gonna have to build." He had never built anything new in his life, right? But I believed in him. He's super detailed. I believed in myself. I know I can get it done. Especially me and him, we're gonna figure it out.
Yeah. So it's actually the best way to learn sometimes.
He was on the fence for like 3 weeks, and I still owned it. I didn't know what I was gonna do. I was like, "Fuck, what am I gonna do?" I was still interviewing builders and stuff in the meantime. And finally he called me back. He's like, "Man, I think we can do it. I think we can make some money on it." I was like, "Well, I still own it, so let's get moving, And yeah, we formed up some partnership agreements, signed them, and went and got construction loan. So he brought his hard money lender.
I was about to say, who got the loan?
He brought his hard money lender that he was using for the flips, and they said they would do it.
And so for people that are listening, don't know what a hard money lender is, they're going to be higher than a bank rate. It's going to be a lender. And it's not going to be based on the builder or the person flipping the house's credit. It's going to be based on the asset and the deal and the appraisal. And so they'll usually loan you 80 to 100% really of the construction cost, depending on the appraised value. And so what were interest rates, I guess, back then when you first started? Because I know there are a lot more now, but
He had a good relationship with them, so I think we got 10 and 2. So
just probably pretty good, yeah.
10% and then
2 points to close.
or origination points.
Yeah.
So basically
Was standard back then too.
Yeah. Got all that figured out. We're coming down to close on the construction loan. A day before the construction loan, the lender calls my friend and is like, "Hey, we can't give you this loan." Eric just got out of prison. He's got 2 felonies. And he was hysterical. He was like, "Holy shit, you're going to fuck my relationship up with this bank. I use this bank all the time for all my flips. Da-da-da-da." I was like, "Well, fuck, you know I'm out of prison. Like, what do you want me to do?"
You know what's a little weird to me that if I was running a bank, or I'm sure there's regulations, but if it wasn't a financial crime, why does it even matter?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it's like, why are you going to
money
lend,
lenders don't even check back.
Again, it's the assets though.
Yeah.
They're lending on the asset. There's no, but anyways, I don't understand that. Like it's
so like, they backed out. So I had to shake and ended up moving out the paperwork and then from my name to my sister's name, and we ran it through another hard money lender. Ended up getting fucked like 13-14%, 3 points. So, but it doesn't matter.
If you had enough margin in the deal,
yeah,
it's
we got
still
it done.
probably
I'll pay
okay.
30% if I make $500,000. I don't give a fuck.
It's almost like a third partner is the private money guy. I mean, that's how much they're getting.
Yeah, but we needed them, you know.
I know. So I've done it a lot. When I was younger, I used hard money a ton. So
I still use it to this day.
I do too. I do on every once in a while.
Yeah.
I mean, again, sometimes you don't want to use your own cash. You might have it, but you're like, you know what? I feel more comfortable just saving my cash.
Yeah, for sure.
Using hard money. I mean, we still do it
all the time.
Yeah.
Other people's money. So yeah, I ended up leveraging that $210,000 land for the construction loan on that land. And also I wrote a letter. There was a vacant lot next to me. I wrote a letter to the owner and he contacted me and said, "Yeah, I'll sell it to you." And I paid $220 for that one. But I was able to get the bank to loan me the construction on the first one and the land and the construction on the second one because of the 210. The lending was a little bit better back then. Now they want like 50% down on land. But back then, you could leverage it a little bit better. So yeah, I leveraged the land outright for the construction, the land, and the construction. So I built 2 duplexes, 4 units.
So what were the numbers like? So $220 a lot. What was the construction cost? And you were building 2 townhomes on one lot, or?
Yep, 2 townhomes per lot, and then with that one bank, so I was able to get 4. The numbers. Shit, I forgot our building cost. This was 4 years ago. I built a lot of homes in the meantime, but I ended up making.
Yeah. So what was roughly the profit? So
yeah, the profits were about $75,000 to $150,000 per
house.
Because the bank wanted you obviously to pay down more at first. So the first unit we had to pay down more. The second unit we had to pay. But by the time we got to the 4th unit sold for that lending, it was a big chunks.
Yeah.
So yeah, I learned all that process with the banks with my partner on those 4. Well, there was another one that came up next to me, and I was working with the owner, and for some reason I guess he didn't trust me or what, but he didn't sell it to me. He sold it to this wholesaler, or the wholesaler got it under contract. Wholesaler brings it to me, and I pay the wholesaler $40,000 fee to get that lot too. So I ended up building 6 units right there, all next to each other.
Was the price the same? Did he get it cheaper than $220, or did you end up paying $260?
Yeah, I ended up paying. Yeah, it was like $260 or $280 maybe, something like that, with his $40,000 fee in there.
But you were still able to sell the house and make a margin on it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I ended up making over $500,000 personally off of those 6 units. So yeah, and my partner did as well.
It was a really good start.
And I paid my sister back.
And you were like,
yeah,
I could have never made this much selling drugs. Like,
yeah.
And it's like you can market, you can do whatever you need to, and you're not hiding trying to.
I didn't even have the mindset of like illegal shit at that point. Like I knew I wasn't going back to do anything illegal. Like still the same mindset that I have now. It's real estate business, no turning back.
Yeah, no, man, that's awesome. Most people would have like their life would have been over, get out of prison, and I think people nowadays think they have problems. It's like dude, you don't know what real fucking problems are. Like, right? It's like,
Yeah.
oh, nowadays it's like, oh,
Life or death
my
sometimes.
tire's flat. I got a problem. My internet's broken. My phone's broken. It's like, dude, you don't fucking know what hard is.
Yeah, I
And
tell
then-
this story sometimes. So I got out of prison on that ride back with my mom. You know, I didn't have a car, so I rode around with my mom a lot, right? And she would had to take me to parole. She had to take me to all the bullshit meetings and stuff that I had to do for parole. I had to go to like AA classes and all kinds of crazy shit. And I remember just sitting with her in traffic, and she just gets so mad about the traffic. I'm just like, Mom, what the fuck? Who cares about this traffic? Like, I'm sitting next to you. You know, this is awesome. Like, I'll sit in this traffic all day. Where I was just at, like, you don't want to be there. You know, you don't want to sit there. So all the little shit that everybody faces out here is just nothing to me, anyway.
I've never been in prison, but running a business is gives you that same mindset, because I get home and me and my wife, we don't fight about anything, because it's like there's so much shit had melted down during that day. I come home and the last thing you think is like, oh, there's dishes, or oh, there's this. Like,
Yeah.
you don't give two shits. It's like,
It's all small shit.
I'm alive. I made it through the day. It's like my businesses are still
Yeah.
going. They're not dead. So I don't know. I think most people nowadays are kind of soft and they don't understand. It's like the internet made it super easy. I mean, when we were growing up, like, dude, you couldn't just have access to the information that's out there nowadays.
Yeah. I mean, when I went away, and by the time I got out, technology was fucking crazy. I mean, it was like, it tell you exactly where you're at.
Yeah.
Like the GPS, I was like, holy fuck, it knows exactly where I'm at. You know, like you can order a car right to my fucking location. Like, you know, if that would have happened back then, I would have never gone to prison.
It's definitely an interesting time, and I always laugh because when we were younger, you and I are close to the same age, but it wasn't so easy. Like, you had to either open a brick and mortar store somewhere or do some. I mean, you need to go borrow the money. Nowadays, there's access to information to where you can go and get a course or get stuff from somebody, and you're like shorten your learning curve so much.
Yeah.
And then they'll tell you how to do it. You go borrow the hard money. You go do this. You go do this, instead of like 10
YouTube.
years of like figuring it out.
Yep.
And so, man, I'm super passionate about the education. That's kind of why we even started the podcast. And I know you're doing some of it now, because I think traditional school is pretty much bullshit now.
That's
They
a whole
don't.
other podcast.
Yeah, I honestly, I'm not going to put my son's going to go to probably elementary school for 2 years, and then that's it. We're going to do kind of like a private, I'm not going to call it homeschool, but it'll be like a private program that I put together, because I really only think you need a handful of things. It's probably communication is a one that I probably didn't have when I was growing up, that I wish I would have had that skill. Sales, and then
They don't teach
a
you
little bit of
none of that.
a little bit of finance is like, as long as you know the way numbers work and a little bit of accounting, that's kind of all you need, and you'll be successful in like whatever you end up doing.
I think school is more importantly about like the social interaction and the communication and learning how to like obey rules and, you know.
But for 99% of people, they don't get successful like that.
Deal
It
with
just
people.
teaches you to like, you sit there all day.
I mean, the
you
system
learn about
is
history.
made to create middle-class people.
Workers,
That is
yeah.
what it is made for,
Yeah.
right? And college. So if you don't want to be a middle class and you want to be 1%er, you cannot go that route. You have to go a different route. And we're in the information age now. So getting tools, like you're saying, or going to a trade school is even better than that. But also self-development, reading, you know, picking up a book and reading it, you can learn way more than the school system's going to teach you.
And now with the courses, I mean, you're doing it right now. I mean, just the amount of information that you've been through in the last 5 years, you know how valuable that is for somebody that knows nothing about building. It's like, you know, I kind of want to get into building, and you know how much, I mean, I haven't been to your course, but I already know just from your experience and how successful you've been so far that, dude, sitting in that for 8 hours would teach you more than you would ever learn in 10 years.
Yeah.
And so for just a small amount of money, you could learn that much information. Just people don't know how like awesome it is to have access to something like that now, and how cheap that really is. Like, how much are you going to pay to go to school for
Exactly.
4
Your
years and
books.
basically learn nothing
Your
and maybe get a
books
job?
are going to cost way more than the
Yes.
$1,500 to $2,000 I charge for my
It will.
course. You
It
know?
will. So I'm super passionate about that. It's really awesome that you're doing that. Like, I think more people should be doing it that actually have the experience. I mean, there is a lot of bullshit out there, I think, with the internet, but people that do have the experience to share that with somebody else, man, like, I don't think people understand how valuable that is.
I mean, you can get knowledge everywhere, but also it's the execution, you know, got to get these people to execute. So that's what I try to do. I try to stay on them like, hey, you got the knowledge. Now let's get out there and do it.
I always say that. That's
I don't know
like
if
you
it's
just
fear
gotta,
or what it is, but you just gotta do it. You gotta start.
that's how I've always learned, is like just doing. Like I'll think about it and have general idea of what I want to do, but I'm like, let's just go and then we'll figure it out along the way.
Yeah.
And then somebody that, if I start today and somebody else thinks about it for 6 months, I'm going to be way further ahead of somebody like, oh, time needs to be right. The market needs to be right. Oh, I'll buy one when the interest rates come back down. It's like, no, you just start and you learn and you'll figure it out.
You gotta be fearless. It's like I bought that flip and I had to build new. I could have sold it and be like, fuck, I don't know shit about new construction. Like, I don't want to do this. It's too big. Oh my God. I could have been like, fuck it. But then I think about like, what's the worst thing that happened? Like, I lose some money and I owe some money and I can figure out how to pay that back somehow, some way. I mean, I was just sitting on a fucking cell, so I'm not going back to that. Hell, I'll sleep on my mom's couch, you know? It's better than, sleep on my mom's guest bedroom. Like, it's fine. Like, that was my mentality back there. Like, you couldn't tell me anything, because what is the worst that's going to happen? It's not going to be more worse than I just experienced for the past 7 years.
Exactly.
So I was like, fuck it. We're going to figure it out. And that's what happened.
I think people need to hear that.
I executed, and I kept pushing. And yeah, shit happened. Like, there's a ton of shit fucking happened, right? It wasn't just all smooth fucking sailing all the way up. Yeah, it's like that all the way up.
I think that's I think social media is actually great for the world, but I think the only gap is where people see the success way up here and they don't see the struggle. They're just like, oh, he has all this stuff now. It's like, no, like, you don't know how much struggle.
Damn, he got out of prison.
Yeah.
Now he's building multi-million-dollar homes.
But all the struggle, even along the way. How about the first time? It's like, oh, yeah, you're about to close your loan. And they're like, oh, never mind.
Exactly.
Never mind. We're not going to loan you the money.
And that type of shit happens, but you can't beat yourself up over it. You just got to
figure out a way.
Pivot and
figure out a solution and keep it going.
Yeah.
So you're starting to build these houses. You stay in new construction. Are you trying to start getting in any like buy and hold long-term, real estate plays, or are you just mainly just doing new construction?
So after I made the $500,000 and finished those 6 units, that's when, because my favorite book and my favorite author is Rich Dad Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki.
I read that
The
too.
2 books that changed my life, though, are Awaken the Giant and Unlimited Power by Tony Robbins. But then I got onto Robert Kiyosaki, and I just loved his teaching methods. It just broke it down very simple to me, and so I consumed every book. I still have all the Robert Kiyosaki books. I still read them. I listen to them. Like, they're great. So anyway, he's all about like the asset column, liabilities, income. So I wanted to buy something that was going to produce cash flow passively, right? And also help my taxes and all that stuff. I was starting to make money. So I started getting into residential real estate, like buy and hold, just small single family homes. So the first one that I bought, maybe I was out of prison a year and a half. I paid, and I remember there was fear there. There was like, fuck, what am I doing? I paid like $88,000 for this shithole. I'm like, fuck, I hope I'm doing this right. I don't know, but I just wanted to do it. And like I said, it's not so much if it works out or not. I wanted to learn.
Yeah.
That was my most important thing, man. The first like 2 years was, I just want to fucking learn. Like, I'll make the money later, but I want to know everything about it now. So I paid $88,000 cash for this bullshit ass rental.
Did you do the math before you bought it and said, okay, I paid 88, I kind of know the area, it rents for $1,200 a month, I know I can make a little bit of cash flow even if I had a mortgage on it?
Yeah, I ran the numbers.
Yeah.
But it wasn't a grand slam or anything.
No. And honestly, in that price range of a house,
and the foundation was fucked up and it was a slab, and I was like, fuck, I think I could do something to fix it. I don't know. I'm still pretty green.
Learning, yeah.
I'm still new to all this. So, but my mindset was fucking, let's learn, let's figure it out, So, and I didn't have any friends. I don't have anybody that around me that owns rental homes, single family. Like, I basically just went out on my own, and I was scared. I remember I was like, fuck, here's $88,000. I remember closing. I wired the money to the title. It's like, all right, where are the keys at?
Was it empty, or did you buy it with a tenant in it?
Oh, it was trash.
Oh, okay.
It was empty. It was horrible. It was nasty. It was fucking disgusting. It was bad. Yeah. I wish I had pictures. I have pictures somewhere, but anyway, we got it cleaned up, man. I ended up getting that crew that helped me with that first flip. I don't know if it was I don't think it was the main guy, but it was like friends of that guy. So from that crew, I kind of just branched off and got my own crew started. So, but yeah, we ended up getting it cleaned up, man. Ended up renting it out, and right now, like, I think my mortgage on that thing's like $800 or $900 or something, and it cash flows
What
like
does it rent for today?
$1,000. Yeah, it's like $1,900 or something. So
yeah,
it's pretty cool.
And you have depreciation.
Yeah,
and then you have the equity.
Yeah, but now I have like 87 rentals, so
which I know
crazy.
That gets hard
to
scale. It's hard to scale single family.
Yeah. Like I said, I learned on that one, and
yeah.
I did it again. I did it again, and I did it again. And after I had like 5, I was like, fuck it, let's go. And then that's the time I scaled, because I learned first on those 5, and then I scaled up.
Are you buying them with hard money and then trying to go refinance them after you get it stable, cleaned up, and then?
So you gotta think, when I got out of prison, I got that flip, I paid cash. I got the new construction, I paid cash for the land and leveraged that into the 2 construction loans. But remember, they wouldn't loan to me. I had no experience. I had nothing. And they denied me. So then I, transferred it out and put it into my sister's name. And then it was basically off my partner, it was word. So I was able to get that. But after I sold those 6, now I got some leverage. I got 6 properties. I made some money. I can talk to the banks now. I can show them something. So that's when the banks started kind of lending to me. But I still didn't quite understand it. So that's why I paid cash for that rental house. And then once I did that, I started learning like about all the banking and the finance and that area of it. So I think I did end up financing maybe like my 3rd or 4th rental. I started the financing once the lender started lending to me. So I used hard money same way, and then the Burr strategy. Basically, I do all my rentals on the Burr strategy, which is a great book by Brandon Burr. It's a great single family book on rehabbing single family homes. So
people that don't know what that is, you basically buy, you're going to rehab it, and then refinance, right?
Repeat.
So you try to get all your money back out, or the majority of it.
Yeah.
Once you clean up the property, put a tenant in it, and then the bank says, okay, yeah, I'll refinance it. The property's stable, and then you can go do it again.
Yeah. Once I learned that method, then I was leveraging banks, and then that's how I scaled up to
I did the same thing.
So many.
I'm sure you're pulling your hair out now, because now your construction business is so big, but now you're personally managing all of your in-houses, which I personally know that's one of the hardest things in the world to do.
Yeah, it's all big. There's a lot on my plate right now at the moment. So I had it in my mind, I wanted 150 rental houses. I don't know why. I think I computed it out to be like $1 million in profit. So that's what I wanted, 150.
Yep.
Well, then we started getting so big, and my my new construction took off, and I created this fucking monster of a machine. And it was just a lot. So then I stopped buying single families, and I haven't bought anything new now in about a year. And I'm just trying to get everything off of my plate and restructure, because the machine is just too big right now. So that's where I'm at right now. But the knowledge that I've gained over the past 4 or 5 years is phenomenal. And I'm excited to get restructured and start back, because the growth is going to be insanity this time.
So you're doing multi-million-dollar houses. Most of them are 1 to 3 million or so, 1 to 4 million.
Yeah, all my homes are. I think my cheapest house right now is 135, and then it goes up to 3.2 million.
And so I don't know what the margins are like in Dallas, but in Houston, traditionally, I think people see these shows on TV and they're like, oh, you can make like, $200,000 in a month, and they kind of glamorize it a little bit. But from my experience, I feel like it's like 15 to 25% is on the actual project, not the money you have in the deal, but the actual project is kind of where some of the math would land. So if you sold $1 million house, you could make 250 roughly, would probably be the number.
Yeah, I think I'm cranking out like 20 to 30%. That's what I teach.
Yeah. And so that's how Houston is. You can't expect to really make. Every once in a while you have a home run, you'll buy the property cheap. Pandemic will happen, prices get crazy, and people just pay whatever. For the most part, from my experience, it's been about 20 to 30%. But it's 20, 30% on the project. If you make 250, but you put $200,000 down, huge return on your money, right?
Yeah.
But I think that's where the misconception is on some people are like, oh, you can make some crazy amount of money in a short amount of time. It is a lot of money.
Yeah. But it's not a short amount of time.
Yeah. It's the house flipping shows that are like, they don't show you any of the net fees. It's like, oh, they made $100,000 and they just cleaned up the house. And that's kind of bullshit.
So what I teach is how to, turn land into $500,000 or how to make 6 to 7 figures per deal, and new construction.
Yeah.
That's all I teach. But new construction takes about 12 to 14 months, depending on what you're building. If you're building $1 million home, 12 to 14 months to buy it, permit, construction, list it, and sell it, right? Yep. So that's kind of what I teach. But you are talking 20, 30%. So $1 million, we're talking $200,000 to $300,000 profit.
Yep, one house.
You just have
to scale it. You just have to have multiple projects going at the same time.
And I'm finishing up 40 homes, so you can do the numbers on that. But yeah,
man, that's pretty awesome. I only know just what I see online in a little bit that I met you last night, and I see it seems like you have a great partner that supports you in what you're doing, and I think that's so huge because if you all the struggles that you have during the day in the business, and it's like so much pressure, and then to come home and like you have that same pressure, and if it would drive me crazy. And so it seems like y'all have a great relationship. She supports you. She actually it seems like she's involved. Does she have involvement in the business or?
Not too much in my business, but I build them, she sells them.
Oh, she's a realtor. Okay.
So yeah, but I taught her the BRRRR strategy, and on the rentals, we've been together now 3 years, and she has 30 rentals on her own.
Look at that.
Yeah, it's my first little protege.
See, and then somebody takes a $1,500 course from you, and if they actually execute on the information, they have 30 rentals, and
exactly.
She did. You did. I mean, she executed on your information and saw you do it, saw it was possible.
And I met her 3 years ago, which I had 5 rentals at the time, and I was working on the 5th one. I remember taking her there, and like I said, I buy them super dilapidated. They're super fucked up. You can't even walk through them. The foundation.
I do the same.
Sometimes they don't even have subfloor in it. You're like, what the fuck's dirt in here?
Yep. Tell you the only way to get a deal, really. If you're gonna in that price range to make money, you have to buy like the worst of the worst.
But I like that because I learn more. The more fucked up they are, the more I'm going to learn, right?
And usually better numbers. Like you can. Nobody wants to go mess with it. Yeah.
I've never fixed pier and beam foundation, so now I get to learn this. So it's like I learned so much. I just threw myself in the fire and I fucking learned everything. Like I build new, but I can take an old house. I could take this building and break it down and build it back. Like
that's all I do.
It's easy to me now.
It's really cool that you rubbed off on her, and then now she's like following in your footsteps already. Like that. It's cool to see somebody that you have that dynamic in your relationship.
Yeah, she brings me
and
peace.
And pick her up like that though too. And it's really awesome that, and I think a lot of people don't have that. And so it looks really cool.
Super understanding. Like, I was locked up for a long time, so I definitely got some trauma. And her dad was a psychiatrist, so she's like super understanding and like wants to talk through everything. And like I'm the type of guy that holds everything inside. And I'll just bottle it all up and shit and just handle it on my own. So she brings a lot of good qualities to me that I need. So yeah, I enjoy the relationship with her.
That's awesome. So great story. There is a couple other things that are kind of off topic in real estate, but on the training side, I saw you repping 315 like it was nothing. Like it was like an NFL combine. You're doing like 25 reps or something.
Yeah, I've always been in the gym, man. I was a wrestler in high school. So I've always kind of lifted, try to stay stronger than most. And I've just been consistent about it my whole entire life. Even in prison, we don't have much to lift, but we make bags, we fill them with magazines, fill them with books, and I always had a shitload of books, so I always had the heaviest bags. Or we fill it with trash bags with water in it, make curl bags, and you just do whatever the fuck you can do in there. I used to curl chairs. I'd stack chairs on top of each other, for at the church or whatever. So
do they not have a yard like that you go and there's actually any equipment out there, or you don't have, if you're on lockdown, you don't have access to it for months?
And you're on lockdown a lot. I mean, there's a lot of idiots in there fucking shit up for everybody. But yeah, and then certain units, they don't have anything. And when you're in county, county doesn't have shit, so you got to make the best of it.
And so now you still, as part of your routine every morning, you exercise, you get up.
I wake up about 6:30 in the morning, and then I drink a protein drink and go to the gym.
Yep.
First thing.
It's always been a big part of my life, only for probably more mental than physical. Like if I don't do it, I feel like I don't know. My days kind of messed up. And so I wasn't doing it to look a certain way. I was like, had a ton of anxiety growing up, just randomly, don't know why. And so that was always like, I almost had to wake up.
Therapeutic.
Yeah. And it was way more of a mental thing than trying to like go and bodybuild every day. I was just trying to like exercise to like.
It's crazy though, because I'm really not too much of a morning person. I'm more of a night owl. Like I'll stay up and just like research on the computer and just do a lot of shit. And I don't like getting up early. But it's funny because I started working out with my girlfriend. I always work out in the evening because I just feel like I'm stronger in the evening. I got all my food in me, and I just always feel stronger in the evening. And maybe that's how I used to work out at fucking like midnight. I had the keys to the gym, you know. I would go in there and nobody be in there. I'd turn the music all the way up, shirt off, and I would just be working out, just banging out reps. So I've always worked out in the evening time. Well, my girl started coming with me to the gym, and so my workouts weren't as great, you know, because I got to train her and sit there with her and I don't know.
Talk.
So I was like, fuck this. I'm going to get up in the morning and go work out and get my main workout over with, and then I'll go with you in the evening, and, you know, I'll just go through the motions, but I'll train you basically. So that's how it all started. But then I started going in the morning time, and I was like, you know what? I like this. It gets my days going, and I feel good. I'm energized, and so yeah, now that's what I do.
Now that you have a ton of stuff going on, it's actually really hard in the evening because your
exactly.
calls, and if you don't get up and do it before.
I was missing workouts also, yeah.
Same thing, because if you don't do it in the morning, it's almost like anything could happen. The world's going to melt down by the end of the day.
But
so you're not like
prison. Like I would never work out in the morning time. Before I went to bed in prison, I would do 500 push-ups. Before I go to bed, like before I lay down and go to bed, 500 push-ups. It's crazy. But I've always worked out in the evening time, so it doesn't affect me. I mean, I wouldn't even sweat. I would just bang them out, you know? It was crazy. And then I would talk shit to all my friends in there because they wouldn't do shit.
Nobody works out in there?
Yeah, they do, but nobody's consistent, man. Everybody is soft-minded and shit,
So one more other off-topic thing. I saw that you bought a lake house, and same thing, renovated old, basically flipped it, but you're going to keep it.
Yeah, gutted it. Took it down to the studs.
And you're like me, you don't buy anything that you're not going to, you didn't just buy a lake house. You're like, you're trying to make equity in the property. Yeah. I can't do the same. I do the same thing. Like there's no way I can go just buy a retail property and just go, oh yeah, I'll just pay the price. I want to make equity. I want to know if I sell it one day, I'm going to make a ton of money off of it. And so super cool. Old like A-frame.
It's actually me and my girlfriend, we bought it, I think like last August, September, and then we remodeled it. So we didn't really get to enjoy it last year. So this is the first year we got it done 100%. I bought a badass super aeronautique boat.
Okay, so I saw that too, and I'm jealous because those are my favorite colors, the white and the tan and peanut butter.
It's so
dude.
Dope.
So do you remember when we were kids, a wake boat was like $50,000, and now it's the price of a Rolls Royce. It's like, what? Dude, I didn't know that. So we bought our lake house. I call my friends. I'm like, hey, I need to get a boat. What's the best one to buy? And they're like, oh, you got to get a G23. And I'm like, okay, cool. And I'm like Googling. I'm like, what the fuck? Like seriously? Like when my friends had wake boats when we were kids,
it's like a Ferrari,
yeah, like, or more. And you're like, I had no idea. I mean, it is a nice boat, but I just don't even understand how it's that.
I love the water. Like, I mean, I'm gonna buy a yacht here soon, so she won't let me buy a yacht right now because she's like, we just got the lake house. You won't even fucking enjoy it. Like, all you want to do is just go buy something else. Like, let's just take 2 years, enjoy this lake house, slow down. I'm like, no, I want a fucking yacht in Miami right now.
So actually, we got our lake house, bought the boat, and I'd never had any hobbies because I like to work. I like to work out, and that was my hobbies every single day for 20 years. And after we got the boat, I got into surfing, and it's one of my favorite things now.
It's awesome.
You don't get hurt, but it's like it's really hard, and dude, I love going up there. You're also outside, so you just that's the only thing. Like best. I'll drive up there if I'm busy one day just to surf, and I'll drive back. It's about 3 hours.
And I got the brand new fucking super aeronautique. It's got the telescopic fucking
those
thing.
Are super convenient.
The system on it is ridiculous. The stereo system is fucking so awesome. I love it. I can just sit there and just blare the music by myself out on the water. Like, nobody fucks with me. It's so peaceful, and I'm just jamming.
If I got another one, I would steal your colors.
Yeah.
Like, that's the one I'm
It
getting.
looks
Like,
fucking great.
dude,
And the new lines that they got on those.
yeah.
Man. So, yeah, I'm super excited for this summer. I need to go get a couple jet skis. I can't figure out what exactly I want. The Sea-Doo RXP 300s or just get some wave runners. I don't fucking know. There's so many. I need to learn more about them, but I need to go get a couple of those. I already got the docks for them. I just need to buy the Sea-Doos.
You'll have to bring your girl out to our house in Austin one day.
Yeah, definitely.
And I'll show it to you, or we'll come up there.
Yeah, we're coming on June 9th to
Okay,
Lake Austin.
maybe we'll be there.
So,
yeah, we're on Travis, but I mean, it's all 30 minutes away.
Okay.
It's not, yeah.
It might be on Lake Travis. We got an Airbnb. It's my buddy's birthday, and then he asked me to bring the boat, so I'm gonna bring the boat down.
It's actually how we found our house. Like, we went up there, rented a house on Memorial Day, and we're like, man, it's really nice up here.
Yeah, it is.
And
nice.
I hadn't been there since college. Like, I just didn't remember the lake being so blue and nice, and it feels like you're on vacation all the time. And so that's what made us want to start looking at buying a house
It's
up
great.
there.
I partied there a few times back in the day, out on the lake.
Me too. That's the only time
Yeah.
I've ever been.
What was that Mexican restaurant on the water?
Carlos and Charlie's.
Yeah.
So that's off the back of my. So when I look out of my, it's not there anymore. It's just a building, but
It's not a restaurant?
it's across. No, not right now.
Oh,
it's
damn.
across from my. So that's what I see when I look across the lake.
Yeah, that's cool.
We're on that deep part
What's
right there.
is it Party Cove or
Devil's Cove.
Devil's Cove.
And so that's
yeah.
like off to the left, right across from Carlos and Charlie's. We're too old though. We don't go to any of that stuff.
Yeah,
We
no.
like, it's like way.
Is it choppy or can you wake surf?
No. It is. So we're in the main part of the bay or the big part of the lake. So it's a little rough right there. And so it's only calm early in the mornings. And so we just go just right around the corner. And if you go to a cliff or something, it's great.
Cool. Yeah, I'll be out there here soon.
All
A
right.
few months. I'll bring the boat.
Well, man, super inspiring story. I know it's going to help a ton of people. I think the part about you being able to get out, I mean, no money, no experience, no background, felon, can't even get a loan,
Two-time
should
felon.
inspire some people to their soft life to go actually do something. It's like, if you can do it,
Yeah.
you can go inspire
And I
those
say
people
it
to
all
do
the
it.
time. If I can do this, I don't know if people get that. Like, I don't know if they think like, bro, I'm sit in prison for a long time. I'm a 2-time felon. Like, I have no fucking college education. I sold drugs for a long time. I really don't know too much, but I learned a shitload about real estate.
Well,
And now, multimillionaire owning, a shitload of real estate and building millions and millions and millions of real estate.
it's definitely execution, like
Execution.
all day long. And if somebody just gets out there and like executes,
Yeah.
dude, you'll after a couple of months, you'll kill it. You'll learn through your
mindset,
mistake. Yeah, it is.
First is mindset, personal development. Get yourself, on the right path. No turning back. And fucking take off, man.
So where can people, if they do want to find you, if they want to learn a little bit about what you're doing, I know you have Instagram, but is there
Yeah.
how do they connect with you?
Instagram, Eric Epic 23, and then you'll be able to find everything else through there. So I'm heavy on Instagram the most though.
Sweet, man. Well, I really like what you're doing. The education piece is something I'm really passionate about. So it's really cool to see you
Yeah.
give back to the people that.
I mean, I got asked so many times about, how'd you go from prison to, McLarens and Lamborghinis and $1 million homes and, and I'm just stuck in the business working. But, this year it was like December. I was like, man, I want to create a new, income and teach people and fucking answer all these questions people ask me. So I was like, let me host a masterclass to fucking teach everybody, So I just posted it on my story, and sure enough, that first one sold out, and now I've done 3 of them. They all sold out, and as I've been doing these, it's just very rewarding and fulfilling to me. I feel I enjoy teaching these people, because like we talked about earlier, the education system's fucked, and so this is like my chance to give back. So I really enjoy it. I want to double down on teaching people and helping people, and I'm excited to. I'm excited for my students to make 6 and 7 figure profits on each deal. Like, I can't wait until they finish their deals, and I show everybody like, look, man, this dude's fucking killing it. He just bought, whatever he bought, and
They need to follow you and they need to go to the class because your girl is living proof. She owns 30 rent houses. Like, So it definitely works. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
It works. I'm not teaching
No.
anything that I haven't done.
All right, man. Well, it was good, man. I appreciate you coming all
Yeah.
the way to Houston.
Thank you. This is a success for me. I love it.
All right.
It's awesome.